All right, today we're going to be testing 3 viral recipes from Joshua Weissman. We're going to be doing 1 recipe from each of his books, and then we will be doing 1 of his viral YouTube recipes. So we're going to do a side dish, a dessert, and then our main course. All right, for our first recipe, we are going to be using Joshua Weissman's first cookbook, an unapologetic cookbook, and we're going to be doing something simple, something a true meal is not complete without. We are going to be making flour tortillas according to his recipe. And so for this, it's pretty simple. We only have 3 ingredients total. Well, I guess technically we have 5. So here we have, this is salt, flour, and baking powder. I've already mixed it up. Here we just have some regular vegetable oil, and here we have some water. Now, already I am a little bit skeptical of Josh's recipe because he uses oil instead of lard. I think lard makes for a better flour tortilla, but we will see how these turn out. All right, so in is going to go our flour mixture. Then I'm going to pour in our water and our oil all at once according to Josh's recipe. And I'm just gonna mix this together until we get a dough going here. Okay, so I'm a little embarrassed to admit this, but this was a little challenging for me. The dough was not wanting to cooperate. It was getting stuck to the board even after I floured it. And then I let it sit for an hour per Josh's recipe. And then it wasn't rolling out nice. I couldn't really get it into a circle. And yeah, then I made it into a shrimp burrito, which totally fell apart. So I decided to just scrap it and start over again. All right, so here we have just the tortilla. This is what it's looking like. It looks vaguely like the continent of Africa. Yeah, look, so structurally, you can see this tortilla completely cracked. It's completely, structurally, this tortilla does not work. Yeah, this thing is just falling. It's a cracker. So my burrito just completely fell apart. Wasn't even worth showing the rest of the taste test. So I decided to use a tortilla press, which is normally used for corn tortillas. But I was like, hey, look, I want the shape. I want it to be done correctly. So I was like, okay, I'll just use this. And they ended up turning out a lot better. So I decided to do another taste test with them afterwards. But not to give you too much spoilers for what I thought of these tortillas. But maybe it wasn't quite worth all of the trouble that I went through. But yeah, that's what happened. That's the first tortilla was just too wonky. So I had to completely restart, as you can see. But this at least was worth it for the video. All right, I redeemed myself. My dog is being noisy again. But as you can see, I've made a perfectly round tortilla. It's got a good level of thickness, not too thick. I just put it in the tortilla press and rolled it out a little bit more so I got the shape, and then I was able to make it thinner. So here we have it. This tortilla is a lot smaller than the other one because I used the press instead of rolling it out. And yeah, I think it turned out a lot better. I think it looks really good actually. So hopefully this fixes the texture issue as well. So let's go try it, see how it works out. All right, so here I have just a really simple egg taco here. Just egg, salsa, tortilla, no cheese, nothing like that. So let's get right into this. The problem we had with the last one was the texture of the tortilla kind of crumbling. So here I go folding it. Oh, look at that tear right there. Let me see if you guys can see that. There's a tear there. There's a tear on the other side in exactly the same spot. And this tortilla is nowhere near as thick as the other one. So I think the big issue with Josh's tortillas is just structurally. We've seen it on both times, but let's give this a taste test. Okay, more so than last time, and maybe it's just because this is a far less complicated use of the tortilla. It does taste more floury this time. Last time, and I will say I let this sit overnight. I didn't immediately eat this, so maybe that had something to do with it. But the one from yesterday, I think, had less of the floury taste. This one is 100% cooked better than the last one because it's less thick. So, I don't know. Let me take another bite. Okay, yeah, my final verdict. I would say pass on this tortilla recipe. I think there's better recipes out there. Again, I questioned his use of oil instead of lard. I think lard is more traditional. And yeah, there's just textural issues with this tortilla. I think maybe if I would have gotten it a little bit thinner, maybe it would have less flour taste, but I got this one pretty thin. And as we saw with the texture, I mean, if you go thinner, it's just not gonna be able to hold anything at all. I just don't think this is a very good tortilla. So I would say our first recipe is a fail. All right, so for our main meal, we're gonna be making Josh's Chipotle chicken burritos, but better. And I used to work at Chipotle, so I am the perfect judge of whether or not this actually is better. So here we have our chicken. Believe it or not, I already had the marinade just like ready in my house. This is like a household item for us. It's basically just dried chiles and blended up into a salsa. You soak them in water, you blend them, you add whatever different ingredients. This one I had to add chipotle and garlic too. But yeah, basically it's just a pretty simple like household item for us. So here goes the marinade. I think I'm gonna pour about half of this in there. And so this chicken is going to sit in that marinade for about an hour, and it's just going to soak up, oh my goodness, I just made a small mess. Anyway, it's just going to soak up all of that. This is really cold, oh my goodness. But yeah, it's just chicken. It'll be soaking that up, and now I'm gonna go wash my hands. So at Chipotle, I would mostly work the grill, and I can confirm as somebody who cooked this chicken all day, every day, that this smells exactly like Chipotle chicken. Josh copied the recipe perfectly. All right, so I've cooked the Chipotle chicken. It smells exactly like Chipotle, so I think Josh got it spot on. But let's see if it tastes exactly like Chipotle. It doesn't taste exactly like Chipotle. It's still very, very good. Got a lot of flavor. It's a bit spicier than Chipotle's, which I actually prefer. But yeah, I think this is pretty good chicken. It's gonna make a great burrito. The next thing the recipe called for was beans, which started with bacon fat and then an entire onion, very thin sliced. And so Josh's recipe called for black beans. Personally, we are a pinto bean household. That's what I had on hand, and that's what I used for these. But not to spoil my thoughts too much, this is a recipe, just these beans themselves, I will be making again and again. These beans are delicious, way better than Chipotle's. The rice is a different story. It added ingredients in a way that didn't work like the beans did. So the beans added onions, jalapenos, and bacon, and the rice added butter and lemon zest. And neither one of those ingredients made the rice better. I actually think the butter made it a little worse. The lemon zest, I didn't even notice. This rice was okay, like as far as copycats go, but I just don't think that the butter worked in, like, I don't like butter in rice. I think that's what it comes down to. For the actual burrito, I added guac, tomato, and cheese. All right, here we have all of Josh's toppings / ingredients that is required in his Chipotle but better burrito. So I'm going to now attempt to fold this up. It's quite thick. I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but we're going to test this out, see how it works as a whole burrito. This low-key gave me a challenge, but I managed to do it. Okay, I did my best here. The top cannot be sealed, but that's fine. Only the bottom really needs to be sealed. Let's go ahead and give this a taste test. Okay, this is easily way better than a Chipotle burrito. I will say, it is missing one thing, and that one thing is a salsa. He did not include one with his recipe. This is a dry burrito. It needs a salsa at the end of the day. But ultimately, I think the beans are really what does it. I think the beans and the tomatoes, I think the freshness of the tomatoes adds a lot compared to Chipotle's, which are cut fresh every day, but then they go in with like a mixture of like vinegar and onions and jalapenos. And so just the freshness of just like the pure tomato flavor, I think comes across really well. The beans, as I said, are what really elevates the whole dish. My favorite thing at Chipotle is the fajitas. And because of the onions in the beans, I don't really miss them. And especially with the jalapenos there too, they stay crunchy per his recipe, and that adds a lot of texture to the burrito. So overall, I think the burrito is a win. So long as you do what I did not use the tortillas of Josh's recipe that I made, which he says you should use in the video. He kind of explains his rationale for why he makes his tortillas with oil instead of lard. And the reason is so that they'll be chewy, which is like, I don't know, not a thing that I look for in a tortilla. Like the main thing I look for is like texture and stability. And as you can see with this one, my burrito is not falling apart. With Josh's, my burrito would have crumbled like instantly. So I will say, as long as you use that caveat of using a different tortilla, I think you still get a better burrito. So overall, I would say this one is a pass, and I think it is worth the hype and better than Chipotle's, but we still have one more recipe to get to. All right, for our last dish, we are making creme brulee. This one is coming from the second cookbook, Texture Over Taste. And so right here, I have all of my ingredients ready. It actually doesn't take that many ingredients, surprisingly. So I have lavender. The recipe calls for like real lavender flowers, but I'm just gonna substitute lavender syrup, sugar, 5 egg yolks, heavy cream, and whole milk. And so this is everything that it takes. It's actually a lot simpler than I thought it would be. So let's get into it. Okay, so first you put the milk, heavy cream, sugar, and your lavender, whether it be real or syrup. You're going to want to put that in a saucepan and heat it up, but do not boil it. You just want to combine it. And then you're going to whisk it together with eggs. Apparently, I was supposed to whisk it together like a tablespoon at a time, but I didn't. Then you put these in a tray with boiling water, and then you put that in the oven, and then you let that sit overnight, and then you broil it. All right, so here we have one of the creme brulees. It has been baked. It has sat overnight. That is what we're looking at. As you can see, it's set very nicely, not falling out there. We got to do the Dairy Queen. But now it is time to add some sugar. I don't have a kitchen torch, so I'm going to add the sugar, put it on top here. Then we're going to put it in the broiler so that we can get a nice sugar crust. All right, so I have a nice layer of brown and granulated sugar on there. And so now I'm going to go pop this in the broiler for 5 minutes, and then we'll see what it looks like when it comes on out. All right, it has cooled down a little bit. Here I have a creme brulee. I did, unfortunately, burn it a little bit, but at the same time, oh, did you see that when I pointed that? I didn't even have to crack that. Wow, okay. So although it was burnt, maybe the layer wasn't thick enough, but I'm gonna get a little bit closer as I crack this open. There's already some dripping out right there. Okay, yeah, nice crack on there. I just put it in the broiler for a little bit, maybe a little too long, but here you can see I got some of that nice sugary bit and some of the actual custard. It's a little runny. When it was just in the fridge, it was not runny when I put this in. Maybe recommending putting it back in the fridge to set again. That is because I used the broiler instead of a torch. Obviously using a torch, just the sugar gets hot, the rest stays cold. But without further ado, let's go ahead and try this. That's so good. That's so delicious. Oh my goodness. Oh man. I'm trying to save the rest of this for dinner. I'm just making this so I can taste it now. I'm gonna eat the rest later, but oh my goodness, take a look at this. It's so, even though the texture is maybe not as set as I would like, some of the, yeah, look, you kind of don't want it to do that. That's a little soupy. The flavor is there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna cook up a different one and put it in the fridge. I had one that was just like a little bit like halfway filled. So I'm going to do that one, put that one in the fridge. The other two I'm sharing with my family, but I'll use the other one and put it in the fridge so that it can set after I burn the stuff so you guys can see what the texture is actually like. But the flavor is phenomenal. It tastes like lavender. It's sweet, it's rich, it's creamy. The sugar, I actually do think it's a good thing that I overcooked it a little bit because that bitterness actually adds a lot. Oh my goodness. This is the greatest tasting creme brulee I've ever had. Obviously the texture is not all there, but flavor wise, this is just blowing my mind. The lavender just goes perfect with the creme brulee. This is a top 10 dessert of all time. Wow, this is definitely the best thing I've had making this video. This is just phenomenal. All right, so there you have it. 3 Joshua Weissman recipes tested. I think at the end of the day, they're almost all worth the hype. The tortillas I had big troubles with, as you heard throughout this video, but I think the burrito was great. The creme brulee really stole the show. I think that is going to become a recurring recipe for me. That thing was absolutely delicious. But yeah, I think they're worth the hype. Go ahead and try these recipes out on your own. Some of them are in his cookbook. Some of them you can find on his YouTube channel. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.